and welcome back to Country Style Cooking with the Coles. Today we are making homemade applesauce. This is a fan favorite in our household and I'm excited to share the recipe with you. For today's recipe, you will need a crock pot, half a cup of water, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and of course your apples. I'll be using a variety of apples today. I have Pink Ladies, Fuji's, Honeycrisp, and of course Macintosh apples, which are probably the famous for an applesauce. In addition, I'm adding 2 pears and a dash of lemon just for some extra pizzazz and flavor. Step number 1, put up your hair. Step number 2, wash your hands. So I'm opting to peel my apples. You don't have to peel them, so I'm using this fancy peeler, but I'm also using a sharp paring knife for the pears. I'm using the paring knife because our parer, though this would have smashed these because they're right on the verge of going bad, so I'm cutting off all the bruises and they're kind of smushy and slimy, so the parer would have just destroyed them, whereas this just cuts through it like butter, you can see. I'm coring the pears and the apples. We have a corer for the apples, which makes it really easy, but again, these pears are too soft and it would just smush them, so I'm opting to use the sharp paring knife. I'm going to be coring the apples with this handy dandy corer. Just like that. I'm going to be cutting these into sections of 2 or 3, depending on the size of the apple. Again, just to help them cook faster, dissolve faster in the applesauce. Making sure to use the claw method. You don't want to cut your fingers off. For our crock pot, I like to use a liner. These help keep everything safe and sanitary, and it definitely helps with the cleanup process as well. You just put it in like a garbage bag. Now that all of the apples and pears are in the crock pot, we'll be adding our water, lemon, and cinnamon. First, I'll add my half a cup of water. Then my lemon. This is 1/4 of a lemon that I freshly cut into cubes, and then I squeezed the lemon into here and pulled the seeds out. Now our half a teaspoon of cinnamon, sprinkle that over there. Now I'm gonna give this a little mix around just to get everything coated. Now you can place on the lid and start your crock pot. Check back in about 4 hours. That good? We don't like to waste things in my house, so they get a nice little treat and we don't have to waste anything. Works out great. The next day, I let my apples cook and I let them chill, and now I'm gonna mash them. I'm using a potato masher. And then I'm gonna emulsify them to make them really smooth, although you could do this all by hand. I'm going to be using this emulsifier to further grind it up. The liner makes cleanup really easy. This will stay fresh in the refrigerator for up to a week and in the freezer for even longer. Hi, I'm here to tell you a little bit more about applesauce. So first, the history of applesauce is kind of interesting. So applesauce first originated from the mid-1700s. We're unsure of the exact origin, time, and place of the first use of applesauce, but we first kind of connect it with Europe because there's a German applesauce that's very chunky, there's Polish applesauce that's a little different, and the first time the word applesauce was used was on record, was in The Complete Housewife, where it was actually paired with duck. Next, I'll kind of go into the cultural influence or social aspect of applesauce. There's actually quite a bit of controversy around applesauce. I know, crazy, right? But if you're from the United States, then you believe applesauce is a side dish, or it can be eaten alone rather. But if you're from Europe or elsewhere, it's a condiment. It's seen as a sauce that you can put on baked goods. It moistens and adds to it, and it has quite a bit of controversy around it. I mean, I'm from the States, so I grew up eating it as a snack. When I was considering about what to make for this project, applesauce pretty much immediately came into my mind. It's a staple at my house. My mom makes it all the time, and there are several dietary considerations that it follows. For one, it's low carb, it's organic, it's all natural, no sugar added, it's lactose-free, gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, paleo, and on top of all that, there are so many benefits to eating applesauce. Like, for example, apples have been linked to lower the risk of heart disease. Apples are loaded with all different vitamins, including vitamin C and potassium and so many others. And finally, what I thought was really interesting was that apples actually act as a prebiotic. This means that they feed the good bacteria in your gut, thus providing a healthy gut and healthy system. There are a few other reasons why I picked applesauce that are kind of just fun facts that I love to learn. The first thing was that applesauce is actually an old-fashioned diarrhea remedy. Due to it being a prebiotic and helping feed that good bacteria, it helps get rid of the bad bacteria, make your immunity stronger, and fight stomach aches. Also, which was really interesting, in recent studies, they have demonstrated that apples may actually protect against stomach injury from medications that are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. This is like aspirin, for example. This study hasn't been conducted in humans yet. It has been conducted in test tubes and in rats, but so far, so good. Also, due to apples' high fiber content, they're really filling. Since they're a healthy food and they're so filling from that fiber, they're seen as a weight loss agent because you eat an apple, you feel full, you don't eat all that, fake carbs and stuff that are in all this processed food. And finally, I don't know if you know this or not, but I am a horse girl, and so when we're on the farm, if a horse has to take medication, they normally take it via their mouth. So we have to kind of help them take it with a syringe. So if they don't want to take their medicine and we can't get it down them, so we'll mix the medicine in a little cup of applesauce and give the applesauce to them in their bowl, and they'll eat it right up. And it helps them get their medicine in, and they think they're getting a little treat too. So good. When you buy fresh produce in season and you put a little effort in, it's always worth it. Thank you. Go ahead.
You don't want to show that. Those white legs. They're thick. They're sexy.
Wait, look, I can make them clap. I've had a live studio audience this entire time.